Okay, first up is the original Friday the 13th. And what can I say that hadn't been said before about this movie? This is the one that started it all. Friday, June 13th, 1980, the dawn of the 80s, the dawn of the modern slasher film. You know what other flick premiered that same day? The Shining. A wicked week, wasn't it? But I ask you, which film had the greater impact? 8 sequels. I rest my case, thank you very much. Now, many people would say that Halloween was the first great slasher movie. Came out in 1978. The problem with Halloween is that it had socially redeeming value. There was a reason that Michael Myers was killing all those teenagers. In Friday the 13th, we don't even know who's really doing the killing till the very end, and it's not who we think it is, and the reason is kind of lame, and even if you saw the movie, you probably don't remember what the reason is. Now, you're thinking, I know who's killing everybody. Everybody knows who's doing the killing in Friday the 13th movies. Well, if you hadn't seen the first movie in a while, guess again. Not in the first one. What this movie had was the greatest ad campaign in modern film history. Everybody saw those commercials. Everybody got it. Kids having sex, kids being butchered because they were having too much sex. The simple equation that made the slasher film what it is today. And Leonard Maltin, I don't care what you say about this being a wretched flick. Get some new lenses on your goggles, buddy. This is a great movie, and we're going to prove it tonight with this one and 5 of the sequels that follow it. And as we go along, I'm going to remind you of great moments in horror film history that were defined in this movie. And we'll also trace Jason's development throughout the series and try and give you as much reason to blow off that lame Halloween party you were invited to and party all night with us instead. So don't wimp out on me. Here's the drive-in totals for movie number 1. We have 10 dead bodies, knife to the stomach, throat slitting, cleaver through the back, axe to the face, arrow through the forehead, fire poker to the face, frying pan to the head, head hacking, and some nice violin music by Harry Manfredini. 4 stars, check it out, and along about 6 a.m., we'll be calling it a night. And do we have those beanie weenies that Bill liked? All right, let's talk about Kevin Bacon. Does Kevin Bacon go around saying, I'm proud to be in the original Friday the 13th? No. You know what Kevin Bacon does? Kevin Bacon tells people his first movie was Diner. You just saw him, right? Second car to arrive at Camp Crystal Lake, Jeff in the front seat with the banjo music. See, nobody gives this movie any respect. Kevin Bacon's first movie was not Diner. In his first movie, Kevin Bacon was Dinner. Just wanted to clear that up. Thank you. And by the way, I'm glad to see that Dorothy Hamill do was still popular in 1980. What was this, 3-4 years after the Olympics, you know? Hadn't the Farrah Fawcett taken over by then? Or was that before the Dorothy Hamill? See, this is why women think men are clueless. What was that? What? What are you guys, speaking of clueless, what are you guys looking at? Back with the first annual Joe Bob Briggs Dusk to Dawn Friday the 13th Marathon, and we've just seen several staples of the slasher film first used in Friday the 13th. Fighting the snake with pillows. Well, that was a one-time deal. That one really didn't catch on. But the theme of the dangerous jokester, we saw 3 times. The crazy kid playing around on the archery range, Ned, the guy who fakes drowning so he can get mouth-to-mouth from a girl, and then we saw these kids being disrespectful to the local police officer, especially when he asked if they've brought any marijuana with them. All the things you're not supposed to do at camp, you will die for these offenses. It's funny to me that these movies are always based on the idea of old people wisdom coming true. If they say, don't play with matches, you get burned up by fire. If they say, don't play with that stick, sure enough, it puts your eye out. Horse around, break the rules, you are DEAD meat. Now, this should be a clue to who's doing the killing. That's all I'm going to say. Zipper lip, I won't give it away. But we have a whole new generation that needs to see this and, more importantly, understand it. So, are you guys listening to me? You know, you have to come to work at 8 o'clock, and what happens? You act like you're still asleep. So, come on, we're going to be bobbing for apples here in a minute. Jay, look alive, man. Okay, back to the movie. I love those characters like the cop. Some of the Friday the 13th sequels, they try to class things up and get rid of those types, and then others go totally the opposite way and get completely whacked on us. But nothing gets in the way of the plot. They go into the woods, but they don't come out of the woods. What? Kids playing strip Monopoly, smoking grass, drinking beer, having sex out of wedlock. And they laugh at the old geek who says, "You're doomed. You're all doomed." That's something that wasn't invented in this movie, but it's also a standard item in a horror flick. If the old geek says you're doomed, then you're by God doomed. It doesn't matter that he's crazy. He knows what he's talking about because he's crazy. I'm surprised I have to explain this stuff, but as I say, it's a whole new generation. And by the way, about how long do you think Kevin Bacon is going to last now? I'd say the boy's hormones are about to do him in. What do you think? Does anybody still play that Kevin Bacon game, you know? Remember that? Somebody would name a movie, and you'd have to link that to a movie with Kevin Bacon in it. Like, they'd say something like Breaking Away, and you'd have to go, okay, Daniel Stern was in Breaking Away, and he was also in Diner, and Kevin Bacon was in Diner. Actually, that's an... What is going on with this camera? What is...
Let's go to camera one.
Yeah, what do you mean go to camera one? Where did Jay go?
I think he went to the bathroom.
He went to the bathroom? We're in the middle of the show.
Just pick the camera one for right now.
He went to the head in the middle of the show. All right, roll it. Roll it. You guys need to get in the Halloween spirit, okay? I'm going to be kicking Heine all over this place. 3 dead bodies since the last commercial break, and Steve, the Rhodes Scholar camp leader, still doesn't know diddly squat, does he? It's very important in a Friday the 13th that no matter how many people die, nobody ever finds out anybody's dead until the last 20 minutes of the movie. Otherwise, they would just hike their heinies out of that camp there, wouldn't they? By the way, let me commend the TNT editing department for that wonderful axe in the face. Usually those things don't make it through, so outstanding. We missed the cleaver up through the bed, skewering Kevin Bacon and protruding out the front of his chest, but I think we got the general idea there. It's too bad that some of this stuff gets edited out because this is one of the early efforts of the great Tom Savini, the special effects master who went on to direct the remake of Night of the Living Dead. And all Tom's best work is exactly what they cut out. It's like the better job he does, the more they want to cut it because it looks too real. If he was a really lame special effects artist, I would like it, right? In fact, you'll be able to track exactly how his work improves by the amount they cut out of parts 2 through 6 as we continue all night with my first annual Dusk to Dawn Friday the 13th marathon. And, Ernie, the light is still not going on Jay's camera.
All right, we'll go find him.
Now you're going to go find him. What is it? What is going on? People, hey, we're trying to do a show here. Hello? Okay, Bill and Alice find a bloody axe and a bloody bed and decide to split up. Wonderful plan. It never occurs to them that maybe the power in the camp went out for a reason. Darn. That's Bing Crosby's son playing Bill. And I can't concentrate until I know if Jay is going to be back on his camera. Jay, are you there? All right, it's time to kick Heine. Which way did he go?
We don't really know.
You don't really know. They don't pay me enough to do this. Of course, we don't pay Jay enough to do this either, but that's not the point. What is this, some kind of cost-cutting measure that TNT is doing? They decided to do the show. You can shoot that thing without a camera. Camera's too expensive. Or if you use one, just don't pay for an actual cameraman. That'd be typical TNT thinking, right? Is in here? Jay, hey, coming in, man, with camera. Don't be flopping it out like President Billy. You'll be embarrassed. Jay, what the hell is this? Oh, very cute. Little Halloween prank. Oh, nice touch. Jelly on the mirror. That's very funny, Jay. Okay, let's roll the movie. Ernie, get somebody else on camera, too. I don't want to fire the man. He's got a wife and kids, and we pay him next to nothing, so he'd be hard to replace. It's Betsy Palmer. It's a deranged Betsy Palmer doing all the killing. Now, how many people remembered that? Can we have a show of hands? You thought it was Jason in a hockey mask, right? But in the first movie, it was Betsy Palmer killing all the camp because all they care about is having sex, and 2 of them were having sex when her young Jason drowned at summer camp. And isn't it great when Alice nails her with that fire poker, but she gets up and starts talking in Jason's voice? Betsy Palmer of I've Got a Secret fame. And yes, indeed, Betsy has a secret. Kill her, Mommy, kill her. And that's Adrienne King as Alice doing a fine job. She's a great screamer, don't you think? As we now watch the final brutal, bloody catfight between the innocent camp counselor and the demonic mother in the classic by producer-director Sean Cunningham, Friday the 13th. And after that, we'll follow it up with however many sequels we can fit in before the sun comes up. Was Betsy Palmer on I've Got a Secret or What's My Line? Betsy's line, serial killer. Am I on the camera? Is my head... Are we using Jay's camera? Ernie.
We're working on that.
I told you not to use Jay's camera anymore. Oh, that's the other camera. Jay's not back, is he? Get out the grapple hooks. You know, that's what they used at my summer camp to terrify you into being safe. You know, always swim with your buddy or else we'll have to drag the lake with grapple hooks. They'd put this picture in your mind of your mangled, bloodied body being harpooned with a grapple hook and then slowly hoisted like a tuna into a bass boat. So I think it's time to get out the grapple hooks. Really. I'm worried about the guy. There you have it, the original Friday the 13th. And doesn't Jason look weird when he comes up out of Crystal Lake there at the end? We'll put that up on our board as we trace the evolution. And where's the dang board? Who else is missing? What else is going to... You know, we're going to try to trace the evolution of Jason tonight. We're supposed to have a Jason evolutionary board here. It's our first annual Joe Bob Briggs Dusk to Dawn Friday the 13th marathon. And, but we'll just run a clip, I guess. We'll show that right now, Jason is kind of a 12-year-old zombie, very skinny, not like the Jason we'll come to know and love in later flicks. But they explain that in the plots of these movies. They really do. Anyhow, we're going to watch Friday the 13th Part 2 in just a minute here, and it does pick up just exactly where this one left off. I think it happens 2 months later in horror film time. And by the way, I hope nobody just turned on their TV thinking this is a regular show, because we got 6 Friday the 13th flicks tonight. But we welcome the latecomers. Grab some caffeine, and let's watch Part 2. The story picks right up with the same girl, Adrienne King, in the first scene. And I don't want to give the story away, but this is actually the first film to star Jason himself. And in some ways, I think it's a little better made than the first one. They spent some extra bucks on it. And those drive-in totals are 11 dead bodies, 1 dead dog, ice pick through the skull. Hello, drive-in totals. Is there a reason the drive-in totals aren't coming up here?
We're having trouble with the car run, Joe Bob. I'm checking into it right now. Can we please have the drive-in totals, please?
What?
Please, the drive-in totals. Can we please have the car run, please?
What? What's the trouble?
I'm not getting an answer, Joe Bob.
What is the Chiron? What is that?
It's that piece of equipment that puts out the drive-in totals. Just finish the totals. We'll find the guy.
All right. Where was it? Ice pick through the skull, 1 strangulation, claw hammer to the back of the head, machete to the throat, cleaver through the head, double spear through the body, machete to the shoulder, pitchfork foo, chainsaw foo, 4 stars. Check it out, and then we'll be back with more useless information to clog up your brain and make you get senile faster. You know, heads are going to roll around here if you guys don't quit messing around. What's a Chiron again?
Puts the totals for your drive-in totals.
Oh, it's like that thing on Oprah that comes up while the guest is talking, and underneath their name it says slept with her mother's pimp or whatever.
Yeah.
Words on the screen. That's a person doing that? There's an actual person writing the words on the screen?
Yes.
So you guys went to Video Technical Institute. You know this stuff. I don't know this. Well, I don't know what you want to talk about, but let's talk about Terry, the babe who gets popped on the butt with the slingshot. That actress's name is Kirsten Baker, and what happened to her? And more importantly, who has her phone number? These girls that just make one horror film and then you lose track of them drives me nuts. Anyhow, I thought that was a nice touch having Betsy Palmer's head in the refrigerator right before Jason ends Adrian King's horror flick career forever. But we have a new heroine, Jenny, played by Amy Steele, yet another one-shot wonder. And I'll be right up front, great screamer. And speaking of great screamers, it's time for a special Halloween visit from somebody I'd like to hear. The famous marshmallow roast scene starring Paul the Dork, played by John Fury. Roll it. You know who did the music for these Friday the 13th movies?
Harry Manfredini?
That's right. I'm impressed. You know that. He's famous for it. You know that sound?
Yeah.
He was thinking about using voices in the first movie, and then it came to him that Mrs. Voorhees was a person who heard voices. So there's a shot where it's a close-up of just her mouth going, "Kill her, Mommy. Kill her, Mommy." You remember that? So he used the sounds from that line. The is actually a K for kill, and the is for Mommy. He's saying, "Kill Mommy." And it's actually him. It's Harry Manfredini making that sound into the mic. People go up to him all over the world when they meet him, and they go, "Hi." That's got to be obnoxious, you know. When people come up to me, though, they say, "Hey, Joe Bob, 6 dead bodies, 3 breasts, 4 motor vehicles." What am I supposed to say to that? Get a divorce, man. Don't do that.
I didn't do it.
You did that.
I didn't.
I can't believe they killed off the geeky old man. The guy who always says, "You're doomed, you're all doomed." Obviously, they weren't thinking about the next 7 sequels when they made that decision. But we're thinking about them because we're showing them. It's a marathon here, for gosh sakes. Hey, do you realize how many scenes they have in these movies that just consist of putting the camera in a big pile of weeds and shooting some teenager through a window? Think about that. You put a little creepy Harry Manfredini music with it, and you go, "Oh, my God, she's not alone. There's a camera out there." Okay, what time is it? I need some more coffee. This is cold. You guys want to come?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Some coffee. Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, you got a promotion, I see, since Jay took off wherever the hell he went. We don't know, right? You got to start pumping that Java now, though, because you're going to have a big depression around 2 a.m., and then you get that second wind. Of course, we could have done this with Jack Daniels, but we're trying to have a safe holiday and keep TNT standards and practices from breathing down our necks about drinking on TV. Okay, nothing like a hot cup of joe to get you through a night of nympho slaughtering. And, the coffee's empty. Where's Marion? Where's anybody? You know, this is all very amusing, but somebody's going to have to make more coffee, all right? Just go back to the movie. We hadn't had the obligatory swimming hole scene yet, right? You know, in the old days, we had members of film crews that knew how to make coffee. That's the difference between then and now. I can't believe they killed that dog. One of the main rules of horror films is that you can kill as many people as you want to, but never kill a pet. People get upset. Remember when Mad Max's dog gets killed in the original Mad Max? People hated that. And now we have the rotting carcass of Muffin the dog, eviscerated by Jason for trespassing on Camp Crystal Lake. His cute little dog jaws sticking up in the air in a grotesque Tom Savini special effect. I enjoyed that, actually. I should also point out that this is the first Friday the 13th flick where political correctness started creeping in. We've got Mark in the wheelchair camper who's still sexy. Please, El Barfo, save that, okay? All right, come on, let's see some Cleaver. Roll it. I am getting to be... Good grief. What is this? Who made this coffee? You think I don't know what's going on? Jay and Marion are somewhere up on the 2nd floor making the sign of the Triple Guild Mud Weasel because it's Halloween and everybody's going nutsoid. Somebody go find them, okay? You go get them. Lisa, go, okay? Besides, I don't like the crew getting nookie while I'm working my honey off. This tastes like it's left over from last week.
It is.
Well, what? Is all the Folgers gone, too? I mean, somebody can make it.
Yep.
What about that Guatemalan double reverse Sacred Mountain French roast stuff from the mall?
This is all we got.
Well, we can send a PA out for some more. Jesus, do I have to do everything? Oh, excuse me. We're back with the first annual Joe Bob Briggs Dusk to Dawn Friday the 13th Marathon, and we obviously have sex in progress here, don't we? On the crew and in the movie. Vicky plants the big wet one on Mark, so we have to ask the question, will Jason attack a man in a wheelchair? I'm sure we'll find out. You know that scene in the local bar casino where Jenny and Paul talk about Jason? This is about the closest these movies ever came to explaining exactly what Jason is doing and why he's doing it. We know he witnessed the beheading of his mother by the gal in the first movie. We know he's been wandering around through the woods for 5 years. And we know from this scene we just watched that he's a child trapped in a man's body, and he's crying for a return, a resurrection. Very heavy. Crying for return and for resurrection. So the next time somebody tells you he's just a psycho in a hockey mask, remind them of this, crying for resurrection. Okay, let's continue. Any of you guys know what the heck that means? Crying for resurrection. You know what that means? I didn't think so. All right. Ernie, did the PA with the coffee yet? Because this is pitiful. Ernie. Okay, Ernie. Yeah, you're a real card. All right, Ernie. Ernie, you can get up now. Ernie, I'm not going to give you mouth to mouth. I can see you got a strap thing here. Your thing is... Ernie. Hey, look, Gloria Estefan. She's coming with cervezas.
Where?
Yeah, right. You're pitiful, Ernie. Get off my set. Go away, please. Okay, Jason is getting busy now. That cleaver through the head on the wheelchair guy, outstanding. Once again, I commend the TNT censors for leaving that in the movie. And I should point out that we only show close-up cleavers through the head when it's necessary to the plot. You'll notice that we did not show the complete teenage shish kebab scene in which two nookie monsters are speared in flagrante aardvarkus, because that would have been gratuitous. Okay, before we go back for a little pitchfork action, it's time to read a little mail from the captive... The old chainsaw versus pitchfork fight scene. Outstanding. I also enjoyed that rat-in-the-face sequence. As I said before, Amy Steele is one of the better Friday the 13th heroines. She never got the attention that Jamie Lee Curtis got, but that's what happens when you star in Part 2. And you know what else is different about this movie? They filmed it in Connecticut, whereas the first one was filmed in New Jersey. And I don't know about you, but I think Friday the 13th is a New Jersey kind of show. I think they ought to stick with their roots, because Jason is a Jersey guy, you know what I mean? All right, time to paint the walls red in the stunning conclusion to Friday the 13th Part Duo. We're still in the burlap bag phase of Jason's evolution. This was the era when the Elephant Man look was very big, 1980, 81. Burlap sacks, they were going like hotcakes. Did you notice there at the end how Paul and Jenny pull off his hood and look at Jason's face, but we never get to see it? Jason's face always remains a secret. We only see brief glimpses of it, grotesque versions where it's been burned or mangled, and it's always in the final scene of the flick. But part of the Friday the 13th legend is that Jason really has no face because Jason has no real identity. Very heavy, right? Okay, let's put it on the board. Oh, I forgot. We don't have the board. We forgot the board. But we had the 12-year-old Jason in Part 1, played by Ari Lehman. And in Part Duo, we have the burlap sack over the head and a plaid shirt and overalls. And the guy who played him, Warrington Gillette, who's actually an investment banker, no lie, said he couldn't eat through the makeup. He couldn't eat while he had the makeup on, so he'd sit in the woods by himself, and when everyone else came back from dinner, he'd be all hacked off, so it was easy to find the motivation to break through a window and grab some girl by the throat. Sounds like a fun set, huh? Okay, let's move on in the first annual Joe Bob Briggs Dusk to Dawn Friday the 13th Marathon, Friday the 13th 3. Originally released as Friday the 13th 3D. Do you guys still have your stereoscopic 3D glasses? I'm sure most of you know what happens here, the same thing that happened in Part 1 and Part 2. A bunch of teenagers go into the woods and they don't come out. Harold gets a meat cleaver to the chest. Edna gets a knitting needle rammed through her noggin. And since they made this in 3D, you get to see the actual penetration, so to speak, which is why this might be a little disappointing on TV. So listen closely while I do the drive-in totals, because the Chiron guy is still missing. I don't know why you guys, you're making room for him anyway, right? But anyway, we lost our Chiron guy, but we have 13 dead bodies, the required number. Pitchfork to the stomach. Spear gun to the eye. Cut in half lengthwise, starting at the bottom. What? Knife to the neck. It's the only way I could do it. It's the only way I could do it. The Chiron guy's gone. Heads roll. Eyeballs pop. No kung fu. Restart. What? What is everybody looking at? What the heck is going on? Would somebody like to fill me in? Hey, it's the first annual Joe Bob Briggs Dusk to Dawn Friday the 13th marathon, and you can probably see that we're dealing with the usual formula here in part 3. We got the crazy old man warning them of the omen of the eyeball. We've got the goofball practical joker. We've got the heroine haunted by a trauma in her past. That's Dana Kimmel. Remember her from Midnight Offerings, one of our more popular horror flicks here at Monstervision. But this is actually what I like about these movies. If you're going to make a sequel, then make a gall-darn sequel. Remember Halloween 3, the one where they didn't have Michael Myers and they didn't have Donald Pleasance? It was not even worthy of the name Halloween. But these Friday the 13th guys, they've made the same movie 9 times. That takes talent. All right, we've killed off the old people on the highway. Let's get this teen veal into the cabins and start whacking. How about it? And actually, speaking of veal, the snack table is looking pretty bleak since Marion ran off to commit original sin with whoever that was. The other two, disappeared. But I know a secret, and it's that Dee Dee, our wardrobe girl, she always has a little sugar stashed way back here she shares during the fittings. And I'm feeling a little peaked, so let's see what she's got. Dee Dee?
Hey, Joe Bob. What are you doing back here?
You don't have any more of those Milano cookies, do you?
Yeah, I might.
Well, what the hell is this?
Oh, that's been here. I thought it was part of the show. You want some Brussels?
I don't. There's a note. Dear Joe Bob, you're doomed. You're all doomed.
Are they kidding?
Well, the handwriting looks familiar. Whose is this? Oh, you know who this is? Old girlfriend of mine, Wanda. Is this a joke, or are you still mad at me for buying the waitress that rum and coke at your high school reunion? Listen, if you're the one who's got the mail girl, I never went out with her. I would go out with her, but she shoots me down every time I ask. Probably wasn't a good thing to say, was it? Well, as a matter of fact, I think I'll be taking this axe with me, if you don't mind, Dee Dee. I've heard about this stuff, these copycat killings with farm implements. Ooh.
Hey, you want your cookies?
Okay, no more horsing around. Let's just get through this, and we got a security guard, right? That's what his job is, all right? You know what movie came out the same month as Friday the 13th 3D from the exact same studio, Paramount Pictures? An Officer and a Gentleman. But when people think back on 1982, which movie gets all the attention? The movie that defined the 80s for a whole generation? The movie that was so popular it generated 9 sequels? Or the movie about a PO'd Navy guy who kicks Lou Gossett's butt? I think we know the answer to that question, don't we? Paramount always acted like they were a little ashamed of these Friday the 13th movies, even though they made millions for the studio. And this one we're watching, in fact, was the first in a series produced by Frank Mancuso Jr. And you know what's a funny coincidence? While Frank Mancuso Jr. was producing these, Frank Mancuso Sr. was the president and chief executive officer of Paramount. In fact, practically the exact same years that Frank Sr. was president, Frank Jr. was the producer of these movies. I mean, what are the odds? What is going on? Is this a prop? Was this here before? I'm fine. I'm here. It's my studio. I got old Betsy if we have any more trouble. Well, we're halfway through the first annual Joe Bob Briggs Dusk to Dawn Friday the 13th Marathon, and did you pick up on who's playing Debbie? The oversexed one in the great bikini? The one that wants to have sex with Andy all the time? It's Tracy Savage, the NBC reporter. And, you know, Cronkite was a newspaper reporter before he went to the network. Well, Tracy was a partially nude horror film star before she went to the network. But I know an even bigger secret about Tracy. You know Morris Cerullo, the San Diego evangelist who heals people all the time on religious TV? Tracy starred in 2 specials for Morris, Advent 2 and The Second Coming, and all I got to say is amazing bikini. NBC's credibility just went up several notches as far as I'm concerned. And Wanda, are you out there, honey? I told you I was seeing other people. What is this about? Oh, God. Like an eyeball. Ew, here, Ernie, you like goo on your face. Ooh, you prop people are getting pretty good at this. Joe Bob, Wanda is married now. Stay away from her or this will be your eyeball. Junior, you old dog, did you finally get up the guts to ask Wanda to marry you? I told you I wouldn't stand in your way, boy. Now, enough with the pranks. Are you out there, Junior? All right, back to the flick. Back to the flick. Okay, kids smoking grass, hippie-looking people having sex. Shelley trying too hard to get in the sack with Vera. All this is bad news if you're in a Friday the 13th movie, because if you even think about sex or drugs, Jason knows. Catherine Parks, by the way, plays Vera. Another major babe. This installment may have the best-looking gals of any of the Friday the 13th. Catherine Parks was Miss Florida in 1978 and has been an actress in Hollywood ever since. All right, important historical event coming up right here. See if you can tell me what it is. I had something to say here, but I'm getting a little tired, and I can't remember what it was. I'm getting a little sick of this whole Friday the 13th concept, to tell you the truth. The whole Monstervision thing is getting to me. I know my comment had something to do with meaningless death, but, I'm tired of all this. I'm tired of this pumpkin. I'm tired of this set. I'm tired of this gourd. I'm tired of this axe. Tired of this hole. I'll tell you one goddamn thing. Alex Trebek doesn't know all the answers. Okay. What you just witnessed was a very important moment in American film history. It's the moment when Jason puts on the hockey mask for the first time. And that's one of Jason's most imaginative kills, actually, where he splits Andy down the middle while he's walking on his hands. And Tracy Savage, she died there in the hammock. That was important for a couple of reasons, because she was reading an article about special effects gore makeup master Tom Savini in the very first issue of Fangoria magazine, and that cleaver came straight up through her chest from underneath the hammock and kind of reprised the death of Kevin Bacon in the first Friday the 13th. Okay. Well, we're deep into our first annual Joe Bob Briggs Dusk to Dawn Friday the 13th marathon, and I just remembered, you know, Nina, our hair and makeup lady, she's Junior's third cousin by marriage. I want to go ask her what she knows about these little jokes we've been having on the set. So, Nina? Where are you, honey? Let's find Nina. She's through here. Nina. Ollie, ollie, oxen free. Nina, I need to talk to you. Where did you go? And also, I need a touch-up, I think, because I'm getting a zit. It's coming up on my face. Gray hair is... Junior doesn't have gray hair. Looks like my mama's here. Mama? Mama, are you still upset about me sneaking across the lake to the girls' camp and making the sign of the double-finned manatee with Wanda? That was 20 years ago, Mama! I think you should let it go! Nina. Were you happy to see Rick die? I was so happy to see Rick's worthless little dork head crushed between Jason's powerful palms. That's one part of the Friday the 13th plot you can always count on, you know, because usually the only survivor is the girl. But sometimes they let her boyfriend stay alive, too. Not that time, though. You could tell by his stupid sweater. That guy had to go. Now it's just Chris against Jason. And I think you know what time it is. It's time to paint the forest red, so let's roll. Dana Kimmel is a great screamer, isn't she? That's a real skill. Of all the great horror heroines, I would put her in the top 5 for screaming. Talking about actresses now. I know this gal in Laredo who's a screamer. You don't want to hear about that. You might want to hear about it, but my mama probably doesn't want to hear about it. Has anybody seen Mrs. Briggs hanging around here? Mommy? Move on now to Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which had to eventually be changed to Friday the 13th, Part 4, because, surprise, it turned out not to be the final chapter after all, and there were plenty more dead teenagers waiting to be pitchforked while having sex. And so now, what?
We don't have Part 4.
We're running a 6-part Friday the 13th marathon. You're telling me we didn't get the rights to Part 4?
Nope. Part 4 is missing.
Part 4 is missing. Okay. Let me see about this. How can Part 4 be missing? What is going on around here? I'm going to the booth. If I find my mama in the booth, don't count on me going home for Thanksgiving dinner. You understand what I'm saying? Ah, it's Chris, our director. Where's the playback guy, Chris?
I don't know. I sent a couple of guys out to look for him, and nobody came back.
Geez, somebody doesn't like cigars. I hope these weren't expensive. What is this? It's a star report.
That wasn't
What, are
in
you
here.
doing a little reading or something?
That wasn't in here before. Let me see it, though.
Weighs a ton.
Let me take a look at it.
Wait a minute. Does Ken Starr have...
No. Yeah.
Ken, you out there? Did you take part 4? You looking for your next target, buddy? Yeah, what are we gonna do? Do we have part 5?
Yeah, we got it, but I'll have to load it because the tape.
I can't believe he did this.
I'll get it.
There's crucial plot points in part 4. All right, well, let's run part 5, I guess. What do you need to know? Corey Feldman plays this 12-year-old kid named Tommy who kills Jason at the end of part 4. So you're not going to see Corey Feldman. He was in part 4. But that movie ends with this gleaming, psychotic look in Tommy's eyes, and then you'll see him at the beginning of part 5. Are you all set?
Yeah, I got it. We're ready. Stand by to roll tape.
Okay, we'll do drive-in totals at the first break. Roll it.
Roll three.
Can't believe we're going to miss Crispin Glover's Geek Dancing in part 4. Part 4 is a great one. If anybody sees Kenneth Starr around here, just say the following to him. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Whatever woman he's investigating sexual relations with. And also we'll all just revert to that statement together, won't we?
Sure. And roll 3.
Okay, how many psychos have we got in this movie so far? Any one of them could go on a killing spree. We got Tommy, who's been sitting in a loony bin the last 4 or 5 years. You know something's wrong when they tell you they have to prepare you to re-enter society. We got Vic, the homicidal mental patient they gave an axe to. There's the two paramedics. One of them thinks dead bodies are really funny. Other one has those creepy glowing eyes. Ethel and Junior, you got to put them on the list. And, of course, Jason, who we haven't seen yet except in a dream. Friday the 13th, Part 4, which we're apparently missing tonight. We can't find it. Had sort of an all-star cast. It had Crispin Glover, Corey Feldman, Peter Barton. The director of that one tried to get professional on us, but I think I prefer this one, actually. Okay, we're going to do the drive-in totals. Do we have well, we have something resembling drive-in totals. Let's see if it works. We have 21 dead bodies. 21 dead bodies. 6 breasts, which is not an issue, unfortunately. 8 kitchen implements. 4 farm implements. 3 auto body shop implements. 2 martial arts devices. 3 quarts blood. Heads roll. Eyeballs roll. Hand rolls. Kung fu. Bulldozer foo. Chainsaw foo. Outhouse foo. 4 stars. Let's get it started. Part 4 is mentioned in this next bit. Because when Tommy killed Jason, he kept stabbing him, yelling, "Die!" And his sister kept yelling, "Tommy!" So it was, "Die, Tommy!" But you know what? I'm sorry I told you that, actually, because I'm just going to let it go. 4 is gone. We're never going to see it. Kenneth Starr, you can take away my tape, but you can't take away my being at one with the marathon. And also, that's not sex, according to the Bible. That was the debut of Corey Parker, back there in the Marlon Brando outfit. He was real popular for about 5 minutes in the 80s, but the last thing he's done is he plays the new Doc on The Love Boat, The Next Wave. Not exactly the hippest credit, is it? But he did get to act with our pal Roddy Piper, who was here recently. Anyhow, his throat slashing was one of the plethora of cuts that Paramount had to make. You'll notice we don't see much of the actual killings in this flick, like the axe bursting through the fat kid's back and blood bursting everywhere. That got cut, and the Motion Picture Association, or MPAA, that's the people who give the movies their ratings, they had some real spoil sports that year, so we're only getting about 10% of what was actually shot for this movie. 1985, bad year for horror flicks. And I should point out that the director, Danny Steinman, tried to make up for it with lots of gratuitous nudity, God bless him, and then the TNT censors got a hold of it and axed that. So, you know, this guy, he directed a porn hit, High Rise, in the late 60s, so he knew how to shoot nudity. So ask me if I'm happy about that. I'm not. Oh! How come everybody in a Friday the 13th movie leaves after sex to wash up? Doesn't anybody cuddle anymore? By the way, that girl who got it in the eyes with the garden shears, which of course we didn't get to see, thanks for nothing, her real name is Debbie Sue Voorhees. Her real name in real life. Very qualified for the job of aardvarking in the woods, no doubt, but I'm sure her last name must have at least got her in the door. And Lana, the frisky waitress, originally got the axe in the stomach and then fell to the ground quivering with the axe in her stomach. But the pansy MPAA said no quivering, so they had to cut that. And they even had to cut the axe. These guys are some major party poopers, but we got a party here. It's Halloween. And where's my axe? Where's my thing? Where's that axe? I've had the axe. I had it all night. What is this? Where'd that, is it a joke again, or where's the scream come from? You guys just couldn't. Where's Paul and Louisa? I've come through here all night. Paul and Louisa, where'd they go? You know, you guys don't care, do you? As long as you get your time and a half, you don't care, do you? Yo, aren't you supposed to be watching the door? And what's this?
That was here when I got here.
Joe Bob something, and yet again, they make it look like blood. It's like, actually, this appears to be actual blood.
I figured you wrote this.
I wrote this. I can't even read this. It says Joe Bob Snacks or Joe Bob.
No, no, it says Joe Bob sucks. It definitely says Joe Bob sucks. I had a lot of time to figure it out.
Okay, very funny. Here, take this. Look, if anybody else tries to come in that door, you stop them, okay?
Okay.
Actually, I need that. You know, it's always wise when things go haywire at a mental institution to leave all the patients alone while you go figure it out, right? Because, gee, I don't know where Tommy is. I left him doing kung fu on the side of the road. You loonies just stay here while I drive around aimlessly in the truck that Jason's probably tampered with. Because, you know, not one of these dang cars in these movies ever runs right. And, you know, as much as I think this director did a good job with this movie, there's one thing that kind of bugs me about it. And that is, the original script for Part 5 opened up with the 12-year-old Tommy being brought to the same hospital as Jason's body, and then young Tommy kills the nurses and the sheriff and confronts Jason as he rises from the operating table, and then the 18-year-old Tommy wakes up screaming in the loony bin. But instead, Steinman opened it up with that dream in the woods. It seems like if we had the dream where Tommy was killing people, it'd make more sense, and maybe it's him who's killing people now, because I don't really buy him as a suspect. Okay, let's get back to it. And by the way, anybody wondering? This Elvis bus, no machete, it's no axe. If it weighs at least 10 pounds, I can do serious damage with this baby in a pinch. Do you understand me, Ernie?
Este gringo es loco.
You understand me?
Yes, sir?
Si, senor. Okay, well, we don't know exactly how the ugly punk girl got it, but thank goodness she did, because I don't know how much more of that damn robot dance I could have watched. All right, I'm going to attempt to cover a little Friday the 13th history, even though I hadn't had a lick of caffeine in hours, and every time we send somebody out for it, they get abducted by trick-or-treaters or something. But the first movie came out on June 13th, 1980. It was an independent film produced by Sean Cunningham, who produced Wes Craven's early films. And Paramount really had nothing to do with that. They just released it in theaters, and then they were amazed when it became one of the all-time top-grossing horror films. I think it was a little bit of a fluke. It'd been 2 years since Halloween. Much better film. But John Carpenter refused to approve any sequels to that. So the public was starved for horror. Okay, so, what was that, about 12? So normally what happens is that a sequel always makes a little less money than the original, and with each sequel you make, the box office goes down until eventually you stop making them because the budget is more than the expected return. So Paramount brought out Part 2 in 1981, and it made slightly less money. They wanted to think of something new and different for Part 3, so they made it in 3D. And it became the highest-grossing 3D movie in history. And this knee. So the box office actually went up on that one, so they decided to make a fourth one. And the fourth one, which we didn't get to see, but I won't dwell on that, was the most successful of them all. It made $11 million just on the opening weekend alone. And I think what happened is that these movies were publicly condemned. You know, they were called the ultimate slasher films, slice and dice, examples of the worst of American filmmaking, embarrassments to the industry, movies that moms everywhere love to hate. So what happens when you have a reputation like that? Teenagers want to see them, right? And young teenagers, the 14 to 16 crowd, became the key audience for these movies, even though technically they were R-rated and you had to attend with an adult. So anyways, no wonder they made 9 of them. Possibly still more yet to come. New Line Cinema keeps talking about bringing out a picture called Freddy versus Jason, but I'll believe that when I see it. Okay, let's get back to the movie, all right? I don't know if I mentioned that Steve Miner directed parts 2 and 3. Now he jumped ship. He directed H2O, so seems like he could do a Jason versus Michael Myers dueling mask, right? The victims could be the kids from Dawson's Creek, which he also directs. And while we're at it, let's throw in the people from Touched by an Angel, okay? Steve doesn't direct that one, but how much would we like to see them get shish kebab, you know? I'll do some more push-ups. One. It's the psycho ambulance driver. While I was watching that last part, I realized how much big movies like Silence of the Lambs borrow from the Friday the 13th flicks. He was looking very Hannibal Lecter there, wasn't he? And, you know, there's another hockey mask that I didn't even mention before. What's this rustling? What is that rustling noise? What's going on over? Oh, for goodness sake. It's the subjective camera. Is this what's been causing all the problems? I knew these things could lurk in the bushes. I didn't know they could ride on walls. You guys get rid of this camera, okay? Subjective cameras, they're dangerous things. They can kill. That's like, get rid of the thing, all right? Let's go back to Friday the 13th, Part 5, the conclusion. And looks like we're going to be able to squeeze in Part 6. And where's my Elvis? Somebody took my Elvis. Where's my Elvis? I know I set the Elvis down here somewhere.
Go, Bob, we're rolling.
And there is nothing crankier than a Texan without any weapons in the house. All right, let's go to the board. Well, normally we would go to the board, but the board's still missing. We don't have a board, so I guess... And also, I got to talk about Part 4 here, even though we lost Part 4. We didn't even show it, but... In Part 4, Jason wore pretty much the same ensemble as he wore in Part 3, and he was played by a guy whose career goes all the way back to, he was a stuntman in The Creature from the Black Lagoon, Ted White. Well, Ted refused to socialize with the cast because he thought the other actors would lose their fear of him on screen, so once during a break, he wandered away for a minute and he ran into a couple of stoned hippies, and they looked at him and stopped dead in their tracks. And he said he heard them falling over brush for 10 minutes, screaming and yelling. Anyway, in Part 5, Jason was actually Roy the paramedic, which explains why he's wearing coveralls and a hockey mask without that axe mark. And they don't say who played Jason in Tommy's Dreams in that movie, so I guess it was the same guy. Richard Wyand is the name of that actor. I'm sure I'll get bombarded now by all the geeks who run the Friday the 13th websites. I say that with the utmost affection and respect. I love you guys, but I'm sure I screwed up there somewhere. Okay, time for Part 6. This is the movie that asks the question, why should we even try to kill him anymore? You know, Jason's always had the ability to levitate himself all over Crystal Lake, jumping out of refrigerators if he has to, in constant search of teen veal. And in this one, nothing can kill him. Not a thing. Metal gate post through his head, no problem for Jason. 8 pistol shots, 3 shotgun blasts, boulder dropped on his brain, drowning, nope. Don't work. I've come up with the only real way to kill Jason. You know what? What is it, 5 in the morning? What would happen if you did the one thing that Jason couldn't stand, the one thing that would be just as deadly to Jason as kryptonite is to Superman? What if Paramount Pictures refused to renegotiate Jason's contract? Would that make him mad or what? I can see him now trying to bust through backlot security to enforce his sequel clause, to resurrect his video cassette rights. Now we're talking movie. In the meantime, what we got is Jason getting zapped back to life by a bolt of lightning, and then he sticks his fist through Arnold Horshack's stomach and says, let's boogie. So I don't even have cards for drive-in totals. Let's do the drive-in totals. We'll do them orally. Where are they? Right here? There's nothing there. I didn't think so. We have 14 dead bodies. Here? 14 dead bodies. How did you stay here all night? Including one girl who tries to buy off Jason with an American Express card. 1 dead, undead body. No breasts, 14 gallons of blood. It's kind of low for the series. Face-eating worms, corpse staking, teen shish kebabbing, 2 motor vehicle chases, 1 with crash and burn, bimbo's face shoved through a cheap prefab wall, knife through the head, paint the room red, bimbo jerking, head ripping, police officer head compacting, dart through the forehead, sheriff crushing, head rolls, stomach rolls, arm rolls, leg rolls, gratuitous Boy Scout lesson, gratuitous June bug squishing, lightning foo, whiskey bottle foo, Evan Rude foo, 3 stars, check it out. Is that the Atlanta Braves? That means Atlanta Braves, doesn't it? Gray hair, Atlanta Braves. Is this a joke? Are you still mad at me for those jokes I made when we showed Barbarella last year? Because I know you want to cut back, but can't you wait till we're done with the show? Just take $100 back from the UN, okay? That's all we need. So we got that lighting thing fixed? Anybody? Friday the 13th, Part 6. Had the same problems with the Motion Picture Ratings Board that Part 5 had, so basically we're not seeing diddly squat of the special effects here. The best one we just missed is where Jason reached into Ron Palillo's stomach. Arnold Horshack from Welcome Back, Kotter pulls out his guts and drops his heart on the ground and it lays there steaming. The MPAA made him cut that, and then, of course, TNT got a hold of it. Now it looks like he just gets pushed to death. You'd think at 4 or 5 in the morning, whatever time it is, they'd throw us a bone. Did you guys recognize Tony Goldwyn in the VW Bug from Ghost? Don't all talk at once. And the cute redhead doing the old mud crawl was Nancy McLaughlin, the wife of the writer-director of the movie, Tom McLaughlin. Tom wanted to infuse a little satire into the series, hence all the lines like, "I've seen enough horror movies to know that any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly." But I guess she doesn't know that any lake where 63 people have been brutally murdered by 3 different crazed psychopaths isn't a real good place to open up summer camp, is it? Okay, roll it. I was going to talk about this. Some people, you know, they take these movies really seriously. They write these books. Like, listen to this. Psychological Reflections on Cinematic Terror. Jungian Archetypes in Horror Films. Recreational Terror. Women and the Pleasures of Horror Film Viewing. And they say things like this. Maybe Jason is a sort of Renaissance man in reverse, a return to the basic primal urges in man while forsaking our techno-modern utopia that negatively reinforces our hot-headed ambitions to pitchfork our neighbors to death, disembowel the cocky creeps, and howl in the moonlight over their freshly flayed and gutted corpses. Yeah, and I'm a reverted adolescent with castration anxiety wearing a macho facade to attract the women that I subliminally fear, right? Actually, I am that, but still. Has anybody checked to see if Ted's car is here? I'd appreciate it if you would, now. That was not a nap. I'm doing the Jerry Lewis thing. It's all night, or nothing. I personally feel that this is the first Friday the 13th where Jason is truly supernatural. One could make the case that he lived underwater for 22 years and then he rose from the dead when his mother was decapitated by the lake. But somebody says in one of the sequels that he didn't drown after all. He was just living some brain-damaged life in the woods the whole time, so I'm going to go with that. I think that's what happened. But this one definitely features a zombie Jason. And the kid playing Tommy here is Tom Matthews from Return of the Living Dead, which is kind of thematic, don't you think? What happened? What? Ernie, I can't see a thing. You guys want to go to the movie and then come get me out of here? You want to go to the movie? Go to the movie. How's that? Go to the movie and then come get me out of here. All right? Thank you. What'd I do with that flashlight? Dang, it's dark in here. Oh. Where is everybody? Hey, the phone's dead. I think somebody cut the line.
Joe Bob, that's a prop phone.
All right, so can you turn off that camera and help me here? Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just me and Bruce now. I said I'd stay up with you guys. I'm gonna stay up with you guys, and I'm sure this is all a big joke on the part of my crew who will all be fired on Monday. Bruce, can you see me okay?
Yeah.
Wait, I got it. Where's there a light that never goes out? Right here, see? Now I can see, and I can grab an old Milwaukee or two since the night's almost over, and I admitted I did stash one or two more in here. And there's a... Oh my God! What's this? It's a bloody script. Oh, it's Ernie's script. Ernie, I saw the strawberry jelly bit, so I know it's not blood. It's, ooh, it's blood. I think I'm gonna hide now.
Back to Monstervision host Joe Bob Briggs and Friday the 13th, Part 6 on TNT.
So it was you. It was you all the time. But the killing, how could you? It was me you wanted. Why didn't you just kill me? But since you already killed them, there's no reason to kill me now, right? Right? Why aren't you speaking?
Joe Bob Briggs here, and I apologize for anything bad that I've ever said. It was all in jest, and if any of you took it seriously, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It was a mistake. I take full responsibility. I've tried to do the best show that I could, and I can tone it down a little. Maybe have Jane on for Barbarella. Would you like that? If we even on Golden Pond we could have. We're more of a family show. I'll stop talking about women's garbanzos all the time, because many women, I know they have like teeny tiny garbanzos, and they don't appreciate that, and I know that. And then, Ernie, is anyone, maybe I could tell a joke. Would that help? Did you guys hear the one about where Moses is complaining to God that the 10 Commandments don't seem to cover all the offenses that Clinton is committing? And so it seemed another commandment is needed to cover what he's doing. So God agrees, and he says he'd get back to Moses right away. And the next day, God says unto Moses, Moses, henceforth there shall be an 11th commandment. Thou shalt not show thy rod to thy staff. Did you like that, Mr. Turner?